Boys and girls, welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson, and I am joined by Josh Bowe. We are coming to you just after 10 o'clock on Monday, March 31st. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Sticking to the bit in the dark. Mavs don't get light unless they win. And particularly, they deserve extra dark. Like, I should even turn off my little floor lamp.
Just completely like a black screen.
Yeah, because this was quite the bad loss, especially coming off their last few games. So I guess let's talk about it.
Dallas Mavericks lose to the Brooklyn Nets 113-109 at home, having played this Brooklyn Nets team, I think 7 days ago.
And destroying them.
Really destroying them. It was AD's first game back. He looked
with less pieces too, by the way, because
that's true.
Yeah, Gafford came back. So
Daniel Gafford came back tonight, dunked the ball like 6,000 times. This was a truly weird game, and normally I tend to lead our show talking about what happened in this game, but you tweeted out something about the strategy the Nets went with, and I want you to kind of talk about that. I'll set the table for you in that the Mavericks threw up a lineup that is a variation on a theme of what they hope to play when this team is what do you want to call it? When this team is really actualized. AD at the 4, PJ at the 3, and a center, and then whatever two fucking guards they feel like playing with, right? So it's a big ball team. That's what the Mavericks are doing. And so what did the Nets do to counter?
They shot 51 three-pointers. 51 of their 90 shots or three-pointers they took. So that's what? They took 11 more. They took 51. So they took what? 40, 39 twos and 51 threes. That's a lot. So basically, I mean, if you think about it, Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford are two of the I think the broadcast even had it. I think they're third and fourth in the NBA in shots per game, block shots per game. So if the Mavericks and then Lively doesn't have a lot of, he's not high in the blocks per game, but he's very elite in terms of the field goal percentage at the rim defense for him. So if the Mavericks have three of the best rim defenders in the NBA, if you're an opposing team, why challenge them at the rim? Like, why would you even do that? That's their strength. They want you to come to the rim. They want to block those shots. They want to alter shots to get them in transition and to get stops. It's part of the game.
So why would you? Yeah. Because I hate to interrupt you here.
No, go ahead. No, go.
Case in point was Anthony Davis taking the ball from Nick Claxton from behind. Yeah. In one of the meanest block shots I've seen this year, where Nick Claxton fell to the ground like a rag doll. Because I don't think he'd ever even considered that. It's kind of hard to describe on the show if you're not watching, but it's like he just reached over, took the ball, and yanked it backwards out of midair, and Claxton just fell to the ground. Yeah. Like, it was really funny. It was an incredible piece of defense from Davis. But go ahead.
He yoinked it from him. If I could steal from The Simpsons, but. Yeah, so why would you attack this Mavericks team defensively at the paint? That's where they're strongest. Just spread them out and bombs away, especially if you're going to play two bigs. And Anthony Davis is legitimately like a big. He's not like a tweener. He's not like a KD power forward. He's played a lot of minutes at center for the last few years. He likes to play power forward, but he is a pretty traditional power forward in the sense of like what he can guard, even though he is pretty all world defensively. So why, stretch him out, stretch Daniel Gafford out, even stretch PJ Washington out, who's pretty good help defender at the rim. Also, when the Mavericks defense is good, he's helping at the rim, blocking shots as well. So get those guys away from the paint and just shoot threes. And that's what the Nets did. They went 20 of 51 from three. I think that's 39%. I think they're one of the worst shooting teams in the league. So obviously this is like extreme variation. Like, not every team is going to be able to do this because teams can shoot 53s against this Mavericks team and they might make 10 or 12. Like, so obviously you have to have some shooting luck involved in this. But I think that's a better path to success than why would you repeatedly try to challenge Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and PJ Washington in the paint. I mean, that's what the Mavericks want you to do. So the Mavericks are making a gamble that teams aren't going to do what they did tonight to them. They're going to say, okay, you're going to take 53s. We bet you're going to make 12. You're going to make 11, and we're going to win. That didn't happen. The Nets made their threes and they won.
In your opinion, was the Mavericks 3-point defense poor?
I don't know if it was. I think it depends because it's a lot of it's about intent.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much of it was blown coverage versus how much of it is that's actually what we want to happen, and we're going to live with that result. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think there were definitely a handful of plays that were blown coverages, like in the pick and. I think they spread them out in the pick and roll pretty well. Got them in the weak side rotation, and I think the coaching staff would look at that and be like, okay. Even if we want to give up threes, we don't want to give up this many threes. Like the Nets shot 17 corner threes tonight. 12 from the left corner, 5 from the right corner. The Mavericks are actually lucky that this one didn't get out of hand because the Nets were only 5 of 17 from the corners.
From those corners, yeah.
Yeah, so the Mavericks don't want to give up corner threes. Even if they want to give up threes in general. They're okay with giving up the above the break threes, and that's where they got spurned. The Nets were 15 of 32 on above the break threes. That's sorry, I can't see. I'm leaning in. That's bad for the camera. 47%. League average is 35. So that's some shot variance that the Mavericks are gonna kick themselves. It's a little bit unlucky, but giving up 17 corner threes, that's not unlucky. What's lucky is that the Nets didn't make more of those corner threes. So if you think about it, it's kind of a wash. They made so many above the break threes, but they missed most of their corner threes. Like if you even that out normal, maybe it's about the same amount of makes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So really, I don't know if the Mavericks can cry wolf about shot variance too much. I mean, obviously the Nets aren't a good shooting team.
But
yeah,
I mean,
that's where I would say it'd be between bad defense and intent. I would look at the corner 3 attempts versus the above the break 3 attempts.
I mean, and if you're looking at the box score, and if you go to the charts section of the NBA.com, the Mavericks won or competed in every statistical category that you'd want them to. They out-rebounded the Nets. The turnovers were a draw. They shot the ball better than the Nets, but where they died on the vine. I'm sorry, they had way more points in the paint.
Yep.
The Nets kicked their butts on fast break points, which
also another thing you do against a too big team, right?
So the Mavericks got killed in fast break points and free throws, free throw percentage, and those are the things that really sort of stand out to me. And we're talking about the big ball element of the Mavericks. Just in the last game, I hope you don't listen to the podcasts where you're not on. And if you do, and I mean my co-host Josh, you out there in the thing, I hope you listen. But I sort of said when I talked to myself for almost 20 minutes, you would have been proud of me.
Good job.
I said it's a little upsetting how important Spencer Dinwiddie is to the Mavericks.
He's been very good for the last month.
He's been very, very good. Yeah, and that's not a criticism of him. I'm just saying it's like he plays well and then the Mavericks win is sort of where we are right now.
He's the only point guard left on the team.
Today was an example of where if he struggles shooting the ball, he was 4-11 from the floor, 1 for 4 from 3, 2 for 4 from the line. He actually had a great floor game, 8 assists, one turnover. Some really hilariously terrible defense, but it's if Brandon Williams isn't playing,
he's done.
Is he done? I couldn't remember.
He's out of 2-way games. He's out of eligibility, so he's not going to play again unless they sign him for the last 2 regular season games, and then
which they might have to. They really might have to.
It's either going to be him or Edwards.
This game really exposed the lack of variation in their ball handling from the Mavs. From the Nets can't guard a chair, but Spencer attacks one way. Jaden Hardy attacks by doing the dumbest shit imaginable. I don't care that he hits open threes. I just watching that guy play is so hilarious. He tried an in and out dribble at half court, got stripped at half court, and then gave up free throws. It's like, stop it.
The Magic were watching this game like, what the hell? Like,
yes,
where was that?
Right, no, for sure. But it's like, again, Hardy hit a couple of huge threes that really like boost the but it's like his game is not ball handling. So you have Najee Marshall, you have Spencer Dinwiddie, and then that is it. That's really it.
That is. You're not over exaggerating.
Because Klay Thompson shouldn't be expected to dribble. Max Christie, there's a dribbling adventure that goes on. PJ Washington wouldn't mind it every now and again, but he's turnover prone. So they have to have Williams, and so it's I'm not concerned because, like, guys, let's just get this out of the way. The Mavericks are making the play-in by default.
Yes.
Okay. Like I don't want to shit on anyone.
The Sun season is over.
The Sun season is over. The Kings are a wreck. Like the Mavericks are gonna make the play-in. It's a matter of whether they're 9 or 10. That's that's my estimation of things. Yeah. So if they have like real, 8 seed aspirations, I don't really understand the play-in. I've never had to.
Yeah, the 8 seed. Are you talking about 8 seed just if they get out of the play-in, or?
Yeah, like to get out of the play-in.
I thought you talked about finishing 8th before the play-in started. I was like, they're not doing that. No, yeah, get out of the play-in because that's where
they have aspirations to like get out of the play-in and play the Thunder in round 1. They have to have variation in ball handling. Like they have to have someone else. I think they're going to be okay. The rest of these games, we're going to start to see some goofy shit. And I mean that in like a loving way. Like we're gonna have funny, weird stuff to talk about over the next several games. Just because, like, today's a great example. Like we saw some weird things on the basketball court. You wrote about it after the break. I kind of want you to talk about your article that you wrote for D Magazine. This was a game where just enough went wrong at the wrong times, primarily in the free throws, and primarily in the fast break decisions because the Mavericks didn't push. Where they got beat. They were surprised. And I really think they expected the Nets to lay down and die at some point in the second half. It just never happened.
Yeah, they played the second half definitely like, the Nets are going to cool off and we'll win. Mm-hmm. You could kind of feel that a little bit. And especially when they got that 10-point lead. I wonder if they thought, okay, we can coast to the end. Because there were definitely a few plays I saw after they got that 10-point lead when the Nets were coming back, like they were not winning the 50-50 balls in the fourth quarter, that's not good.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Take a short break, at least on the video podcast here. We're going to insert some ads. For those of you guys who may or may not know whether you care or not, it's important to Josh and I. We have joined a new podcasting. We have joined a different podcasting company. We left Blue Wire, who was nothing but great to us, and we have joined Odyssey. And we're gonna insert some of their ads here, or not, whatever ads are sponsored for them, and then we'll be right back, and we will continue talking about this game and maybe a few more things. All right, we're back. So now is these are the times that try men's souls and really create hardcore basketball fans. Like if you're watching the Mavericks now. If you're watching Josh and I's podcasts, you're the kind of sicko that we want with us. We are appreciative of you. We are thankful for your support. If you have not subscribed to our show, please do so. If you haven't left a review on any of the audio versions of the show, please do so. Comments, etc. I read as many as I can. Once again, I'm grateful to the various levels of support of people who have let me know just they're thinking about me with my dad. I did appreciate one specific fan last game who said, I'm really tired of you shitting on Anthony Davis. We're already here, baby. We're already here with the Kirk and Anthony Davis grumpiness. It's great. But if we're Josh and I are going to keep doing these shows, I'm not going to be able to do a secondary live show tonight, but I'll probably try to do one next show. Brian came on and talked to me for like 20 minutes. It was really fun. All right, so we got a few more minutes. There's not a ton to talk about, I guess, from this game. Like
Klay Thompson was bad,
which he was shooting so well, and I actually thought he had some really fun first half defense. Then he just kind of died.
I got his shot. He was 1 for 4. He was 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. 1 for 7. His only make was a layup. He was 0 for 6 on jumpers in the fourth, 0 for 5 on threes. Then had that miss at the end of the game that could have been the game winner, which he did that weird thing he does where he pump fakes an open shot.
Hate it.
But then if you're going to do that, take the dribble to reset. He doesn't take the dribble. He pumps, doesn't dribble, stays flat-footed, and then tries to shoot. I feel like he's shooting 2% like when he does that. That was very weird, but that was a rough fourth quarter for him.
Another weird Anthony Davis game. Cool block. But outside of that, he was 28 minutes, 5 of 10 from the floor for 12, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Again, I want to emphasize that I like his passing willingness, but he got blocked by Drew Timme twice. That does fire a lot. Like, it's not being mean to him to indicate that I don't think he looks like he's ready to play basketball right now.
No, he doesn't look like him. I mean, the night and day between just look at what he did in that Houston game versus now. It's not even close. In terms of like his physical, like what he looks like, just moving. 10 attempts for him in 28 minutes against this Nets team is weird. I don't think the Nets were even doubling him that much like they did the first time. So he was a little.
It's not like ghost doubles at him where you'd see a body to get him to move the ball.
Right. But still, you got to find a way to get him more than 10 attempts against this team. Even if he did have the 5 assists. Yeah. I feel like his second half was not. Oh, there's my phone going off. Sorry. I don't know if that got picked up.
It was the universe letting you know that Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out July 31st, 2026.
Are you even going to be alive? No, it's 2027.
No, it says 2026 in the movie poster.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the official Spider-Man movie account. Oh, that's what you guys are here for.
Oh, is that the live action?
The live action.
Oh, okay, cool. The Spider-Verse.
I just completely fucking derailed your point.
No, I'm pissed off because they said they also announced Spider-Verse is June 2027.
I think that
2 more years.
Spider-Verse is coming out in after the nuclear holocaust.
Yeah,
so we're not.
2027 is not a real. Sorry, no one's watching that movie.
You can't spell Brand New Day without AD. Thank you, Darth. Okay, but what the point you were making? Sorry.
What was the point I was making? Oh yeah, Davis needed more shot attempts. I was trying to see what he did in the. What did he do in the fourth quarter?
He took an awful floater. Awful floater.
Kirk, he had one shot in the fourth quarter.
And it was a running floater when he should have either dunked the ball or shot the elbow jumper.
I think he had a couple of free throws in the fourth, but still, how do you have one shot attempt in the fourth quarter? That's crazy.
He not right. And I think it's I'm not understanding why we're pushing through and acting like this isn't a thing.
Yeah. Hey, and speaking of
the Mavs media collective that really seems to want to see him play.
Yeah. Speaking of not right, can we talk about the freaking weird Daniel Gafford sequence?
Oh, yes. So for anyone who's seen Rocky IV, Jason Kidd is the Russian manager who just if he dies, he dies. Like, I have no idea what happened to Gafford, but he seemed to tweak or his knee got hit, knee to knee.
He bumped the bad knee. They showed a replay.
And the shout out to Brad Townsend for saying it wasn't the bad knee. That was just incredible journalism on his part. But hey, we all make mistakes. Lord knows I do it at least every game. But that was very funny and Kidd just left him out there. Like they
had fouls to give. They had 2 timeouts.
Now here's the incredible part.
Yeah.
He scored a fadeaway jumper and hit a free throw.
So but he also, I think the Nets scored like 3 or 4 times because they were like,
isolated him.
Yeah, like let's attack this guy who can't move.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is my barometer for stuff like this. Where am I being crazy? Is the Mavs broadcast was even like, why isn't he being taken out of the game? And when they're saying that, I feel like I'm allowed to complain and be mad, grumpy about it too.
I'm sure he'll have some psychotic reason, but what it said to me was it was like a visual representation of the fact that the Maverick, he's not going to be a Maverick next year.
Gafford?
Yeah. I mean, why would you
because of the cap math?
Yeah, why would you keep a third center that makes a lot of money and is going into the final year before his he needs a new contract?
I don't know. Maybe
I'm wrong.
Maybe if you don't think Derek Lively can play a full season, or maybe when you've got Anthony Davis and Derek Lively, who you don't think can play full seasons, and you need insurance.
It's a pretty good point.
I know, but yeah, I guess that was the last thing for sure I wanted to hit on about the game.
Well, talk to us a little bit about your Dallas D Magazine article.
Yeah, just about looking at some of the because the Mavericks, when Kyrie got hurt, they should have lost every single game by 1 billion points. Like they should have. With Davis hurt, Gafford hurt, Lively hurt, Kyrie hurt, and then PJ, by the way, was hurt a little bit in between that too. Like he wasn't healthy the whole time since Kyrie tore his ACL. Like seriously, they probably had the worst roster in the NBA. I think. I don't think that's mincing words. Philly is the only other team I think that could argue it. Maybe even this Nets team that we saw, maybe a little bit worse, but you're not going to find many rosters worse. I mean, we're talking about not playing. It's not just like the inexperienced, playing a bunch of two-way guys, playing a bunch of end-of-the-bench guys. They didn't have a center. They didn't even have a powerful, Kessler Edwards is playing center. It was crazy. They should have lost every game by 1 billion points. And they did lose a lot of games. They lost 12 out of 16 games before they beat Orlando and Chicago. But they didn't lose them that badly, and they've been okay offensively, which is just weird. Like, why are they okay offensively when Kyrie got hurt? And I just wanted to look into it and see what was going on. I mean, and just try to confirm kind of what I was watching. And basically, they kind of reinvented themselves around this small ball identity. They led the league in drives per game in March, which is crazy. Without Kyrie, since Gafford got hurt, they've led the league. Yeah, in March they led the league in drives per game, 8th in shooting percentage on drives during that time. I think they're what are they points in the paint? They were top 5 in points in the paint since Gafford got hurt, which is crazy because they have no bigs. And they just were like, all right, we're going to play 5 out. We're going to put everyone outside of the 3-point line. We're going to stretch your defense out. And we're just going to drive. Like Najee Marshall was insane in March. 57% in the floater range. Like that's nuts. That's like elite league leading, best in the league percentage from that area of the floor. And now it's like, okay, so you played about a month and a half like that. Now you've got Davis back. Now you got Gafford back. Like, what does that look like now? Because you got all those drives because you played 5 out and you spaced the floor so well. Now you've got 2 bigs in the paint. Is that going to muck things up? And then you kind of say, okay, well, even if that mucks things up, like they weren't winning enough to justify, okay, well, we have to play this different style. Like we have to, like Anthony Davis has to fit into this new style. Like, I don't know, does he? Because you didn't win. Like it was fun and it made the games more interesting than it was, but they still lost a lot of games while Davis and Gafford were hurt. So I just wanted to write about, because I think it's crazy. Like since Gafford got hurt, their true shooting percentage has been higher than the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like how? That's the silliest stat I think I've seen this season, because you look at the roster and it's just wild to me. Like you're playing Kessler Edwards at center for, basically like almost 500 minutes or so. You're playing Brandon Williams, you're literally plucking guys off the street and you're starting them and you're playing them big minutes and they're able to survive. So I thought it was just interesting because it's the only interesting thing left with the season, since we kind of know how it's going to end. They're not going to make a deep playoff run. Trying not to be negative, but come on, guys. Even if they get out of the play-in, they're playing the Thunder in the first round.
I will say,
yeah,
pure hilariousness.
Yeah,
pure hilariousness is the Mavericks playing the Thunder in a 1-8 matchup and beating the Thunder at least once. Like the Thunder, I don't know if you saw this stat today, but the Thunder finished with the best record against another conference all time. They beat the East 28 out of 29 games this year.
It's pretty good.
And the Thunder are just so overwhelmingly good, and yet the Mavericks have sort of worn them like a hat when they play each time. And I know it's a different team, but
yeah, they haven't played since post Luka. So
one of the things that your article kind of spoke to me on, and this is what I find so interesting, is that and oddly enough, Mavs radio guy Chuck Cooperstein sort of leapt on this element of it. It was like, oh, Jason Kidd really has shown that he can coach. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
My problem is, what was he doing from December 25th until the day of the Luka trade? Like, that was the hardest stretch of the Mavs season. And they just basically were like, hey, Spencer Dinwiddie, go do your best Luka Doncic impersonation. I mean, we could be talking about an actual playoff team if they would have won more games then.
Yeah, you're right. Because that's the Kid thing, though, is he experiments for 3
just
months.
Fucks around and acts like an oaf.
He experiment. And then, this is the Kid. Every single season, this is the Kid thing, right? After All-Star break, it seems like it's a different team in terms of preparation, in-game decision-making, tactics, X's and O's. I just don't know why he can't do that for opening night, but I don't know. It's just how it is. It's like, it feels like yelling at a brick wall now. Like, it's not going to change, right? Like, that's his method. He's getting validated by it. They've been to the finals. They've been to the conference finals twice. Like, why would he change? Like, in his mind, they're getting the results. Like, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Although, what is funny to me is, now we're just kind of going off the base here, but this thought entered my head is, because I know Kid is thinking about this stuff, because, Kid is, what he did in Brooklyn, what he did in Milwaukee, like, he's not, if you want to tell me he's not thinking 3-4 steps ahead about some of this stuff, I would say you're lying, or he's lying, or whatever. But, like, I wonder if he's using this to build his resume to go to a better situation when this eventually goes belly up. Like, when the writing is on the wall, and the check comes due, when they have no draft picks and the team's bad and Davis and Kyrie are older. Like, I wonder if he's going to use this to kind of be like, look what I did with two-way guy. Like, when he tries to do job interviews, or if he tries to, like, go to other orgs and he's like, hey, let me coach your team. Like, look what I did with this during this stretch. Like, I can coach. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if he is padding his resume right now because he knows he's going to have to pull the ripcord and get the fuck out of here when this thing truly blows up. And if you think Kid's not doing that, I would just be like, man, like, you see what that fucker did in Brooklyn and how he got himself to Milwaukee? Like, that, I don't see that kind of guy just changing overnight, so to speak, on that. I don't know. Now I'm rambling.
No, it's good. So we're here now. The Mavericks play the Hawks on Wednesday. Oddly enough, and that's a home game for the Mavericks. The early, like, the matchup predictor on ESPN gives the Mavericks a 3-4 chance in winning. The Hawks have locked up their play-in ticket. The 7 through the 10 seed in the East is just it makes the West even look really funnier if we're being honest. I expect the Mavericks to win that one. I just, they're really trying hard to get to 500. This would have been the first time they would have been to 500 since March 10th. They lost that game tonight. And then the schedule, they can afford to lose to the Hawks. But the 2 Clippers games, the Friday, Saturday, back-to-back later this week, are legitimately, like, shit. Like, the Clippers are a pain in the ass. Like,
yeah, because they're quietly kind of good again. Because
James Harden the last month has been a world-wrecking force. He's like 25, 6, and 9.
Yeah, and Kawhi is playing a little bit more. He's looking more like Kawhi.
So it's one of these things. The Mavericks sort of need to keep their heads in it, and then they play the Lakers after that. Then they finish with Toronto, Memphis, and there's not that many games left, guys. We're only looking at 6 till the middle of the month. Pretty good gap between that Saturday game and then the Wednesday Lakers game, which will be good for the Mavericks. I don't know. We'll be back. Sorry, Wednesday is just like I don't even know what day it is. It's just
when will we be back? We don't know.
We'll be. I mean, that's when it is. But I'm just like, are we really going to be back then? Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We appreciate all your support. Everybody be good. Check out Mavs Moneyball, though we haven't had as much lately, just because everybody's kind of gassed. We'll talk to you guys soon. Go Mavs.